This episode of A Rays of Living sends the message, you are not alone. And you aren't. We really are not alone. Life is a series of experiences, some good, some bad, and some horrible and tragic. In discussing and having a network, you start to realize a couple of things. That one, there's support, and that two, many times when you open up and talk about what you're going through, you find that somebody in your life has had same or similar experience. And I'm someone that believes very strongly in the universal laws, and the universal law number one is divine oneness, where we are all connected. And just on the basis of that, you are not alone. Whatever you are going through right now, whatever your circumstances, good, bad, ugly, you are not alone. Someone else out there is experiencing the same thing. And I want people to really, really pause and think about that and find solace and just comfort in that fact. And I know it to be a fact going through my own lived experiences. You are not alone. I felt it was an important message to get out because many people are sending the message that we are in changed times. We are changing our times, and many of the things we've come to be familiar with are changing. People are struggling. We see that in the peak of food bank usage, and they're suffering, many of them, in silence. That is a big difference from certainly when I grew up, because when I grew up in the frame of religion, in the community of church, and going every week to church and seeing the same familiar faces, they became my extended family. And in that community, anyone that was hurting, anyone that was going through their messes had support. They had support. They could reach out and the community would come together to figure out how to support. And I recently was looking at what my mom built for us was an amazing extended family, but also what she built for herself was long-lasting friendship and camaraderie. And let me explain what I mean by that. Even when my mom went through the ice storm, that infamous ice storm. She went through that, and they were without water. They were without electricity. It was truly a modern period of strife. And they got through that through this community. The community came together. And when someone had water, everyone had water, because they would get on the phone, they would call and let everybody know, we've got water. So if you want to have a bath, come over. If you need something, come over. They came together in true community spirit and created a network of support. They would call and let people know and ask how they can help now that they've got electricity. If someone needed to be warm, then let's get you warm. This is community at its best. And now I'm seeing someone nervous about driving, and they have shared in their community. They find they're getting a little nervous with driving. That community came together and figured out a whole logistics of how to support that person getting to where they need to be in the safest possible way and support what they may be going through currently. When I look and hear these stories, when I see those sort of things going on, I felt this message was an important message to get out to my listeners. You are not alone. So whatever you're going through, if it feels heavy, if it feels dramatic, if it feels overwhelming, pause, reflect, and consider that you are not alone. And as such, if you are not alone, what do you need to do to get support and help? building the framework and surrounding yourself with the kind of support system that can help you in your low points in life and are there to celebrate your high points in life. That is called community, tribe, friendship, family, because family doesn't always have to be just blood related. You get to choose your family. And in my example of showing what my mom had done, she built an extended family. She chose who would be her family. And we all have the ability to do that. Life is choices. I keep saying that. And life is decisions. And we have the ability to literally orchestrate, co-create, bring together the family and extended family in profound ways that ends up creating our cheerleaders, our support system. That puts the cushion that we can fall on when we're having difficult times. Also puts the ladder that we can climb towards because they're celebrating and helping us climb upward as well. As you look around who is around you, if you don't have that, if the people around you aren't in that kind of, co-creation and aren't supporting you fully and are actually pulling you down, you step on a ladder, they break the next step. If that's the kind of people in your life, then you need to clean. You need to put boundaries. You need to frame those around you in a way that you know who your cheerleaders are. And don't suffer alone because there's no need for it. You have to look and focus on getting support. There are far too many people that have gone through the same experiences and can help you navigate through an experience, can just even be supporting you through an experience. But just knowing that they understand and that they can guide and that they support is what we sometimes need. And with things the way they are, we are in an inflationary period, and that inflation will continue to rise. It still hasn't stopped. And there's so much we're being hit with. It's actually pungent, the change we're going through. It's thick. It's heavy. One day at a time, one moment at a time is what some of us are facing. Remember, you are not alone. And that is something to be grateful for. That's something to recognize and put gratitude against, and then look to see what doing you can do to better frame your circumstance and your situation. Because life is definitely a journey of experiences, and we get to decide our experiences. And it could be where we lie in a fetal position, feeling sorry for ourselves and being a victim. Or it could be that we are sitting up and we're actually strategizing and we're figuring it out in a very active, in a very community, in a very exponential way. So pause for a minute, even as you're listening to this, pause for a minute and think, what's my circumstance? How am I feeling right now? And how are those feelings rendering my thoughts? Are my thoughts positive, optimistic, or are they negative and detrimental? We're seeing suicides on the rise. Reach out. If you're feeling the urge to hurt yourself or others, reach out. If you're feeling loneliness, solitude, reach out. I was recently looking at these words. Alone is a state of being or body, whereas loneliness is a state of mind. Everything starts with feelings fueling our mindsets and our thoughts. We've got to get a grasp of those two things. What are we feeling and what are we thinking as a result of what we're feeling? When we master those two things, everything then cascades. Everything in our lives cascade. One of the things of feelings and mindset to help the mastery is about definitely ourselves, getting us well, getting us right, and the community right. That's a part of our enrichment. Many days I sit And sometimes in my sitting, I think, wow, is this laziness or not? But it's actually gratitude. I'm sitting in gratitude as I reflect on the people in my life. Grateful for the people in my life. I have a great network now of people in my life. And I am grateful for every single one of them. The other day, two of us exchanged. We've got each other's back. We've got each other's back. They said, I've got your back. And I said, I've got yours as well. And how good that feels when you know that you have people in your life that, having your interests as you have theirs. That is community. That is tribe in the most positive of ways. So start looking at who's around you, look at your circumstances, and get energized on how, especially if it's a low point. If the circumstance and experience is a low one, don't feel depleted, but feel energized to say, what do I now need to do? Who can I talk to? Where can I get support? That's what we all need to do. That's what we all need to recognize and feel blessed if you have all the right people like I do around you. Feel the gratitude. Even take a moment. I always say take a gratitude break, not a coffee break. So take a moment to feel grateful of the people you're surrounded with and even the positive circumstances you have in your life. And don't just dwell on the ones that are a low point. We all have that. Life is about ups and it's about downs and it's about plateaus. And it's about having the right frame of mind about the down so that you build a bridge across the dip. You want to build a bridge across the dip. You don't want to go into the low point. You recognize it's there, but you don't have to fall into the pit of despair, because then the climb out of a pit of despair is so much harder. So much harder. So think about where you are right now, because where you are right now is where you are supposed to be, even amidst the low points. Build the bridge across those caverns, those abyss. Build the bridge across it, and it's your mindset that does that. And it's your optimism and your gratitude that does that. And it's your community that also extends the hands of support that pulls you across those difficult points, whatever they may be. And we own that. We own our responses to those moments. We are accountable for our responses to those moments. And in those moments, we've got to make some choices. We've got to do some decisioning. And we've got to turn what seems, because the low points always seem so much bigger than they are. But when you look at them as experiences, we get to transform an experience that may not be ideal into something that fuels us, something that energizes us and grows us. Because on the tail end of those experiences, we usually come out so much more empowered, so much wiser, and so much more capable than before this experience. And we get to decide how we do that. We get to look at that catalytic moment, and that's why that word is associated with my brand. That's why many of my products and services are around catalytic moments. We get to decide how catalytic transformation is going to happen in the midst of everything going on in our lives. And we get to be the catalyst of change for ourselves and for others. Because through our own experiences, we get to serve others and support others. It's a powerful cycle of life. It really is. We go through our experiences, we become wiser, we become more knowledgeable, we can become more confident when we see the blessings in it. When we have the gratitude for them, we come out on the other end ready to serve ourselves and others with our experiences. And that's why I can so profoundly proclaim that You are not alone. I'm not alone. We are not alone. It feels that way sometimes, but we really aren't. And we get to change our state. We get to change our mindset. So when you go out into the world, you smile, you acknowledge everyone, and you get to say, I see you. By smiling, saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening, by asking, how are you? And just being that positive influence in everybody's day. Have the intention when you go out into the world today to be a positive influence in someone else's day, because you don't know what they're going through, and you don't know if that one encounter is the one that changes something for them, that teaches them something, that inspires them in a way that they weren't inspired before. So have the intention to be that catalyst of change for somebody. And recognize that you too, someone else can be the catalyst of change for you. And so we are not alone. And my 3 words always, as I go through each day, is to lead with love. If you make those 3 words part of your lifestyle, part of your mindset, you could never, ever be a negative on somebody else. It's impossible. Love is the highest place we can get to. So when you lead with love, and that's in your heart, that's in your very aura, it literally surrounds you like Teflon, and you put that out there. Lead with love. You can only smile. You can only be supportive. You can be only inclusive. You can only be diverse in your thinking. And it all spells acceptance of yourself and others, because lead with love applies to you as well. It applies to you. And you can only be a certain way when that is your platform to step on each day. And knowing that you are not alone creates an even more exponential support system for you. In my usual fashion, if you need help with any of this, if you need help with any of the things that I speak about in my podcast and write about in my articles, if you need help with any of it, reach out. You know where I am. Reach out. And in closing, thank you for listening. And remember the message. You are not alone. Thank you for listening to this episode of A Rays of Living. And please be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You will also find in the description below my email address should you want to reach out, and I am happy if you do. And just to be sure, it's Jenn at youareworthmore.co, and worth more you definitely are. And lastly, also see the link that will allow you to schedule a meet and greet with me. And that's an opportunity for me to meet you and you to meet me, and for us to have a chat. And that would be wonderful and welcoming. So please hit the link and let's set up a meet and greet.